I met Sebastian in my last year of college. He was on the committee for the Wizards and Muggles Club. We were both massive Harry Potter fans and bonded over our love for Dobby. Strange, I know. Sebastian would take me to all the exclusive conventions, and even gifted me with an original screen-used wand prop. It was extremely valuable. I did feel guilty accepting a gift with such a high price tag. However, Sebastian's dad passed away close to a year ago, and he insisted that with the money left over from his inheritance, it was no big deal. Sebastian did not take his dad's death well. In fact, Sebastian went through episodes of major depression. I mean, they had the perfect father and son relationship, so it was understandable that Sebastian was still mourning. One evening, Sebastian and I were out for dinner. We went for some pasta at a nearby Italian restaurant. In the midst of our binge, Sebastian left the table to use the washroom. As I was waiting, I received a text message from an unknown number. "Spaghetti or ravioli?" it read. Perplexed, I looked around the restaurant to see if I knew someone there that could have sent this, but I didn't recognize anybody. The text seemed harmless, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Sebastian returned, and as soon as he picked up his phone from the table, I asked if he had received a message from an unknown number too. He looked concerned and asked if everything was okay. I didn't want to dramatize one text message, and so I replied that it was nothing, though it was far from nothing. What began as a simple question spiraled into a series of disturbing messages and unwanted calls. Not only was someone watching me, but it felt like they were writing their own story about me. I was terrified. I wanted to tell someone. No, I wanted to tell Sebastian. But with the anniversary of his dad's death looming, I didn't want to add to his plate. I did reach out to the police, although you can probably guess how that went. My last option was to change my phone number and hope that this lunatic would leave me alone. And that did work. The messages, the calls, it all stopped for about a week. A week later, I received another message from an unknown number. "Guess who?" they wrote. This time, however, the messages became more heinous, the calls more frequent. Up to that point, the messages were a reflection of what I was doing. Now, these messages were threats. I would get countless of messages throughout the day. "I am watching you," and "I will miss you once I am done." I could not bear this torment alone. I had to tell Sebastian. Sebastian listened and reassured me that this was just someone's pathetic attempt to scare me. He promised that no harm will come my way. That was the first time in a long time that I felt at ease. Sebastian, my guardian angel. I crashed at Sebastian's place that night, and for the next 3 nights too. The calls, the messages, the torment, it all stopped. I figured that whoever was harassing me knew that I was not alone. I was relieved, and I was having a blast. The late nights, watching movies, eating pizza. It was the dream. Eventually I started to feel like a burden, and with the stalking now behind me, I knew I had life to attend to. I could tell Sebastian was disappointed that I was leaving, and so was I. But deep down we both knew that we were living in a fairy tale. The first night back at my own place felt bizarre. I sort of missed, no, I am not going to go there. Anyway, it did take a few weeks to adjust back to my routine. I wanted to make the most of life and catch up on the time I had lost. But my college deadlines were approaching, and so instead, I planned a busy weekend at home to get my work done. It was a Saturday night. Sebastian had called, telling me that he had a lot going on and wanted to watch a movie together to distract himself. I had to decline. It was never one movie. And I offered to rearrange, but Sebastian abruptly ended the call. I told myself that as soon as I was done with these assignments, then I would make it up to him. I was knee-deep in drafting the perfect essay. I was in that zone, typing away on my laptop, headphones in, listening to rain sounds on YouTube. My phone pinged, but I couldn't let myself get distracted. It pinged again, and again, and again, and again, and again. I tried to ignore it, but it was non-stop. I stepped away from my desk to look at my phone, and in that moment I could feel my whole world turn upside down. Hundreds of text messages, all from an unknown number. It was them. I scrolled through the catalog of messages and could tell that they were enraged. As I got to the most recent message, I saw they had sent a picture. It was of my house, and in the frame of that picture was a long butcher's knife. I fell into a state of panic. I immediately called Sebastian and told him that I was going to die. Sebastian arrived within minutes, and he took me to his place. He spent the rest of the night consoling me and assured me that we would figure this out in the morning. I felt terrible. Sebastian was always there when I needed him, and I bailed on him the moment he needed me. I couldn't get to sleep that night. I felt like I had fallen into a recurring nightmare and I couldn't wake myself up. I was sat on the spare bed contemplating what my life had become. I did feel less panicked, though. I mean, I was in Sebastian's presence after all. I wanted answers. No, I needed answers. And for the first time, I felt like I had the courage to try and get them. I opened my Messages app and clicked on their conversation. I typed, "What do you want with me?" I debated with myself for several minutes before I eventually caved and sent it. As soon as the message sent, I instantly heard a ping. It came from the bathroom. The noise startled me. I looked over to Sebastian, who was fast asleep, with his phone on charge beside him. I nervously walked into the bathroom and quietly locked the door behind me. With my back against the wall, I texted the number again. And again I heard the ping. It came from the cabinets. I didn't waste a single second and started rummaging through the drawers. It was filled with junk. But beneath the mask was Pandora's box. My inner self screamed at me not to look inside, but my curiosity got the best of me. I opened the box and there was a phone. I picked it up and noticed 2 notifications. They were from me. My heart sank in my chest as I started to connect the dots. Sebastian was my stalker. In complete disbelief, I dropped to the bathroom floor, crying, one hand covering my mouth, and the other scrolling through our messages, reliving the torture he put me through. I must have spent 30 or so minutes coming to terms with what I discovered. Sebastian, my guardian angel, was in fact the reincarnation of Satan. I got up from that floor and accepted that there was a real possibility that I would not make it out alive. Determined to get answers, I knew that I had to confront Sebastian. I unlocked the door and expected a knife to be pierced through my body. Though, as I stepped into Sebastian's room, I found it empty. Sebastian was nowhere to be seen. I cautiously looked around the room, hoping to find some trace of him, but there was nothing. Within half an hour, all of his belongings were gone. I tried calling, texting, but there was no answer. I looked him up on social media, but all of his accounts deleted. It was as if he never existed. Years have passed since that unforgettable night, and the chances that I hear back are quite slim. I had so many questions that I wanted to ask, but Sebastian took the answers with him.